Hi there, my name is Aya, and we're halfway through the year, so I'm here to talk to you about all the goals I've set at the beginning of the year. So I had three major goals at the beginning of the year, so I'm gonna talk about them, and then I'm gonna tell you how I'm doing with all those goals. My first is obviously my Goodreads challenge. My goal was to read 100 books this year. I have done so previously in the past. And I am well on my way to achieving this goal because so far I've read 83 books, which I've never read this many books halfway through the year. So I'm very, very proud of myself. So yeah, I anticipate that I will definitely reach this goal. After this one, my reach goal is probably going to be 200 books. That is a stretch. So I don't know if I'm gonna get to that, if I'm gonna reach that goal, but 100 I'm still very proud of. So I mean, even like I'm definitely gonna read more than 100. Obviously, 200 would be great at the end of the year, but like anything between 100 and 200, I would also be very proud of. First goal I'm doing very well on. My next goal is to read at least 20 books that are already on my shelves that are published before 2014. Now, this may seem like a strange goal, but I could go through all my book hauls from way back and check to see how many of them have been on my shelves for that long. But I felt like, you know what, books published around 2014 or before that, chances are they have been on my shelves for at least 5 years. Because I wouldn't buy a book from 2014 now unless it gets like really big hype for some reason, or before that. I mean, obviously there's exceptions to the rule, especially the books, like the kind of books that are on my shelf. So I'm in a roundabout way. My goal with this goal is to read books that have been on my shelves for such a long time. So basically TBR Veterans. And this I want to keep doing because especially since my reading taste has changed a little bit, I still like the books that I used to like back then, and I will read them. I probably will enjoy them, but the majority of the books that I'm reading right now are romances. But I don't want to have like an entire like bookshelves full of books that I have not read yet. So, and since it's easier for me to pick up books that are hyped now than books that had been hyped in the past, this goal is important to me. So basically my goal, 20 books. So far I've read 7. And I'm going to tell you about them because it has not been a great success, even though I said I do feel like I'm going to love those books. Actually, I just realized I read 6. So I still need to read 14. The first one I read was The Alchemist, which I read in January. I gave that one star. I did finish it and I unhauled it. I did not enjoy this book whatsoever, even though it was really short. And I think that's the only reason why I ended up finishing it, because it was so short. It did take me way too long to read for such a short book. I didn't enjoy anything about it, which is why I gave it 1 star and I've already unhauled it. Blood and Chocolate. This one, I remember following someone who used, like, that was their favorite book, so I bought it based on one person's recommendation, and it has been sitting on my shelves for such a long time. I read it in January, and I DNF'd it, and I unhauled it. I didn't like the main character, and, like, halfway through, I was like, you know what, let me just spoil this book for myself, and I'm glad I DNF'd it because I wouldn't like the direction this book would take. So yeah, I unhauled it and I'm fine with that. I tried to read Why We Broke Up. I read that one in February 2023, but I did not finish it and I also unhauled it. Once again, this should be a very easy book for me to go through since it has a lot of pictures. But I remember just like reading the first couple of pages and I'm like, I don't care about this book. I do think that I have grown out of young adult contemporary books, especially ones that have been written so long ago. So I do feel like with those books, I give them a little bit. If I don't find them intriguing, I'll just DNF them. So I do have a feeling that the books that have the highest chance of me still liking them, even though they've been published over 10 years ago, is, you know, the fantasy genre. Speaking of, one of my other goals was to read the entire Cressley Cole backlist because I caught up on her Immortals After Dark series, and I just want to read everything this woman has written. So I thought I'd start with Poison Princess, which is her young adult series, and she recently actually finished it. And I started this one in May 2023, and I also DNF'd it. Oh my god, I did not care about this book at all. And once again, I started reading Goodreads spoiler stuff. This was supposed to be a post-apocalyptic book and mainly took place before the apocalypse, which was just high school drama and nonsense. The main character was not very likable, so I DNF'd it. And I guess I could continue on because I do have a feeling the next books are going to be better. I just didn't care. I did like the premise sounded interesting to me. It's about tarot cards, and obviously it's post-apocalyptic, but I could not get into it. And I figured, why torture myself? I can just read Cressley Cole's adult works, which I have enjoyed in the past. I read The Extraordinary Secrets of April, May, and June, which I read in May as well. And I did finish it. Finally one I finished, and I gave this one 3 stars. And I also unhauled it. This is a young adult contemporary with a paranormal twist. We follow 3 sisters who have powers, and that was what was intriguing to me because it sounded like Charm to me. I did enjoy it, but it's not a memorable book. I'm never going to reread it. That's why I unhauled it. I also wouldn't really recommend it. It was fine, but I did not have to force my way through it. So that's why I got 3 stars. Last, but most certainly not least, is my favorite book I read in this challenge, was On the Island. I read this one in June, and I gave it 4 stars. This one was published in 2011. I do know for sure, because I have a feeling this is in my first ever haul video, which I'm gonna make a video reacting to that video. Anyway, moving on. I did enjoy it. I would still recommend this book. And I do think that anybody that reads this book would still enjoy it, even though it was published so long ago. But this is in line with the kind of books I read nowadays. Nowadays, it's a romance. So yeah, this is a rarity that this is on my shelf and I have not read it yet. That was that challenge. I'm behind on this challenge. Obviously, I should have read 10 books. I've only read 6. My plan is to really make a solid effort of reading at least 2 books for this challenge every month. And hopefully I'll actually read 20 books that were published before 2014 that have been on my shelves at the end of 2023. Now my biggest challenge, which is to finish an amount of series. So let me just actually explain it right away. So when 2023 started, I had 59 open series. So basically series that I'm in the middle of. And my goal is at the end of 2023 to have only 30 open series. So that basically means that I have to read and finish as many series as possible, but also limiting the amount of series I'm actually starting. And I do feel like I'm sort of on track, because right now I have 48 open series. So basically 11 less than when I started. And I'm actually gonna give you a breakdown. So like I said, I started with 59, now I'm at 48, but I actually closed 13 series so far in 2023. So basically closed means I either finished the series or I'm all caught up on the series, but the other books have not been published yet. So 13 so far, and I have DNF'd 18 series. So basically one day I just went through my series spreadsheet and I was like, okay, I am a completionist. Once I start something, it's a hard time for me to actually stop reading. And I'm getting better at DNFing actual books because that actually does feel like a waste of time to me. But with the series I've DNF'd, I have liked them in the past. So that's why I have a hard time just DNFing it, because if I like the other books, chances are I'm gonna like the next ones. But I feel like there's so little time and so many series that I'm enjoying way more. But I'm gonna get to that in detail when I actually talk about the series I've DNF'd. So I closed 13 series, DNF'd 8, and I actually started 13. Oh no, I actually started 10 series. So that's less than the ones I've been closing. Basically, that means I still have 18 series I still need to close. Like, that is a significant amount of series, but some of them only have 1 book that I still need to finish, or 2. So I do have a feeling that I will end up with 30 open series plus. I have made a concerted effort to actually, once I start a series this year, to make a plan of when I'm going to finish it this year. So I do feel like the 10 series that I've started, well, some of them I've already closed. Let's see how many series I actually am reading right now that I actually started this year. So 8. So out of the 10, I've already closed 2. So, and I do feel like with the 8 that I'm currently reading, I will end up finishing them this year. So that leaves 10 series open that I still need to read from like before I started this year. But knowing me, I will start more series this year. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. Let's get into the details, the nitty gritty. So the series I finished in 2023 are the Bridgertons. So this series I started in 2021, I'm pretty sure. I finished the last 4. Glad I finished it. I do want to read more of Julia Quinn, but I'm glad the Bridgertons are done. My favorite is still the second book, which is The Viscount Who Loved Me. I finished the Holiday Hunk series by Sarah Spade. The first one is Halloween Boo, and I read the last 3 books. It's basically a series of novellas revolving the holidays, and you follow different couples in it. I finished the last 3. This was an okay series. I wouldn't really recommend it unless you really like reading about holiday romances. Next, I finished the Brutal Birthright series by Sophie Lark. The first one is Brutal Prince, and I finished the last 2 books in this series. Next, I finished the Dirty First Date series by Harley LaRue, which is basically just 3 novellas about first dates, but they're very, very kinky. And I read the last one, so it was a novella. It was very easy to finish. I finished the Stay a Spell series by Juliette Cross. The first one is Wolf Gone Wild. I read the last 4 books plus the holiday novellas. And the last one actually came out this year, so it would have been impossible for me to actually have finished it before 2023. Yeah, I would highly recommend this series. It is a paranormal series, so definitely had a great time reading it. The next series I finished is the Tombstone University series by K.L. Mann. Once again, a novella surrounding the holidays. Very spicy. It's also like a different monster romances. There's an MMF, an FF, and a MMM. So also polyamorous relationships in this series. I finished the Farseer trilogy. I read the last book, and this is like one of my favorite fantasy series out there. It is very slow moving though, and very character driven. Next, I finished The Montgomerys and the Armstrongs by Maya Banks. I wish the series was longer, but she stopped writing. So I read the last book that is out so far. The first one is one of my favorite historical romances of all times, and actually one of my favorite books of all time. And the last series I actually finished is also a series I started this year, which is The Kingmakers by Sophie Lark. So I started The Heir in May, and I finished the entire series in June. Now for all the series that I've closed but have not finished yet. So all the series that I'm all caught up on, which there are 4 of them. The first one is Saga, which is a graphic novel series or a comic series. The last book, well then, they took a giant break, and now the next comic has, like the bind up of the comics has finally come out, volume 10. So I reread the entire Saga series, and I read volume 10. I got caught up on The Immortals After Dark by Cressley Cole. I read the last 3 books plus the 2 Dacians books this year. She actually just announced 2 more books that are coming out in 2023 and 2024, so I'm very, very excited about it. I do feel like I should reread this series because I want to. But yes, Immortals After Dark. This was a very, very long series, so I'm glad I'm caught up on it. The X-Hex series by... what's her name? I know it's Rachel Hawkins, but Erin Sterling. So I read The Kiss Curse, and The Wedding Wish comes out, I think, sometime this year. And last is another series I started and got caught up on, which is Spy Family. So the English volumes, I believe so I read basically all 9, not basically, I read all 9 volumes. The 10th one comes out at the end of the year. Now for all the series that I've DNF'd this year, some of these series in the middle of for years. First one is the Luck series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I read Obsidian years ago, and I had always had an intention of just continuing on, but it has been years, and every time I look at them, I'm just like, they don't spark joy. So unless it is for a video for some reason, I don't think I'm going to continue on. So I just remove them from my series I'm in the middle of and put them on my DNF shelf. Like I said, never say never. Like, if you guys really want me to read this series, I will. But for now, they are DNF'd and they are off my currently reading spreadsheet. Next is the Wayward Children series. I know this is a lot of people's favorite series, and I have tried, and I have really enjoyed, I have enjoyed the books I've read, but every time I look at the next book I'm reading, I have to read for this, I'm like, I don't really want to. And if I had wanted to, I would have read this series years ago, because it's short novellas. If it was going to be a favorite series, I would have binged them. I never did, never felt the intention to. In fact, I reread Every Heart a Doorway now this year for the 3rd time, and I had every intention of just continue on. And then I just read a new one. I'm like, this is fine. I get why people really love it, but I'm not one of them, unfortunately. Once again, it's not that I hated these books, definitely not, but I don't care to continue on. So that's why I DNF'd them. I believe I read the first 4. Yeah. Next is A Discovery of Witches. I really love the first one. I actually DNF'd the second one with the intention of one day going back to it, reading the second one, and then just finishing it, since it's just a trilogy. Once again, I don't care. I'm just gonna consider this book standalone. Maybe one day I'll reread it and feel the urge to continue, but for now it's a DNF. Chicagoland Vampires. This is once again a TBR veteran. I read the first one last year or the year before, and it was fine. It was on my series list because I did want to continue on, but now when I really looked at all my series, I was like, did you really enjoy this one? Not really. I don't feel the urge to continue on, so I won't. How to Hang a Witch by Adriana Mather. I did really enjoy this book. I did really. But I just feel like this should just be a standalone. I don't care to continue on with the series, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. Well Met by Jen DeLuca. I did enjoy this first book, but I haven't heard great things about the second one. And I know the book about her sister also came out, which is the only one I wanted to read, and then I just realized I don't care. I enjoyed Well Met for what it was. It's not one of my favorite romances, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. The Order of the Unseen, which the first book is Scream for Us, and I hated this one, so I'm not gonna continue. And Nick and Holly, which is a series of, once again, holiday novellas about this one couple, and I read the first one, it was fine, but I don't care to follow this one couple, so I won't. And now for the series I started that I'm still in the middle of. The first one is the Underworld series by Sophie Lark. I read the first 2 in anticipation for the Kingmaker series, which I've already talked about, but I do want to continue on with the series, so I will. Next is The Hathaways, which out of all of these, I have a feeling this one is, I'm going to finish one of the earliest. Yeah, that sentence made no sense. Anyway, this is high priority for me. I read the first 2. I'm definitely planning on reading at least the 3rd one, but I really want to read the 3rd and 4th one this month. So I have a feeling I'm either going to finish it in July, or if not July, then definitely August. Next is The Life Ship Traders. I told you guys about the Farseer trilogy. I know a lot of people prefer the Life Ship Traders. I'm not one of them. So I'm struggling, especially with the last book. But I've read the first 2. The only one I need to finish is the 3rd one. So I am gonna finish it. I just don't know if it's gonna be July or August, because like I said, I've been struggling with this trilogy. But I really do want to finish it because I do like Robin Hobb's writing, and I am intrigued about the Elderling world. Lore Olympus. Ooh, ow! My God. I don't know if I'm gonna finish this video unscathed. Lore Olympus. I have no doubt that I'm gonna finish it. I'm just taking my time with it, and it's fine. I will definitely finish it. I think the 4th and 5th volumes come out this year, so unless for some reason I'm going to DNF this series, I'm definitely going to finish it. Or, I'll definitely get caught up on this series. Next is the Fallen trilogy. This is just a trilogy about novellas. I read the first 2. I'm probably going to finish this series in July because it's only one book and it's a novella. Next is the Chestnut Spring series. So I read the first one. I'm currently in the middle of Heartless. So just 2 other books that I need to finish. I'm really enjoying it. I have no doubt that I'm gonna get caught up on this series. And there's a 5th book coming out. I don't know if it's gonna be this year or next year. I think it's gonna be this year actually. The Nashville Neighborhood series I read. This is a series that is very unlike me. I read it out of order. I read The Frat Boy first, which is the last book. I know the 5th book comes out in August, so there's a chance I'm gonna read that one before finishing the other 3. But I have no doubt that I'm gonna finish this series. I loved The Frat Boy. I love Nikki Sloan's writing, so I have a feeling I'm gonna love this series. And last but most certainly not least is The Hellions of Havisham. This is a historical romance. It's only a trilogy. I love the first one. I've only heard great things about the 2nd and 3rd book, so I'm definitely gonna finish this one. So yes, those were my goals of this year and how I'm doing with them. Definitely let me know in the comment section down below what your reading goals were for this year and how well you're doing with them. I am planning on doing a video breaking down all the series I'm in the middle of, so definitely look out for that video coming sometime in July, I think. Definitely need your help with prioritizing which series you want me to read first. So yes, I want to thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day and I'll talk to you later. Bye.